How's it going, guys? It's Eclipse here, and today I want to pose a question to you, and it is to do with World of Tanks and the pricing of some of the premium tanks that have been coming out. Now, this video is both a combination of the update news that has been released as part of the new season, including the new Halloween mode in terms of what do we actually get for completing this year's Halloween operation, which comes out that rewards you with a free premium tank of your choosing depending on how many points you earn. It's a typical earn up. We kind of covered that in the previous video that we did on the channel. If you want a rundown of the two brand new vehicles, I'd highly recommend going and checking that out. Or tomorrow, when they do eventually get released, we'll do a video exactly detailing what these tanks are, how you can play them, and the kind of actual gameplay and how it feels to play the new vehicles that are coming in. It's a tier 9 and also a Cold War vehicle that are coming in that kind of have some interesting features, and I'm really interested to see what they actually play like in the game. But in terms of this video in particular, now we'll cover the kind of update news later on, but my question to you is, do you think that the sale of some of these premium tanks is way too high? Like, the cost per premium tank is too high. And if you do think that, does it make you want to buy that tank more? Or does it make you want to buy the tank less? Or are you just not buying anything on the game? Or equally, would you rather kind of spend your money elsewhere because it's just way too expensive to actually purchase tanks on this game? Now, this comes as part of this thing that Wargaming have been sneakily doing. I don't know that maybe it's not sneakily, but essentially what we used to get is about a 50% discount on premium tanks, dependent on, you know, on the weekly sales and that sort of stuff. Whereas recently, Wargaming have been dropping those percentages down to a very, very measly amount of like 15%, for example. Which, when you're considering that the base cost of a vehicle can be upwards of like £50, having only a 15% discount still means you're paying like £40, £30, occasionally £20, something in that region to purchase a vehicle to play on the game, which is up to you. You don't have to spend your money on the game, and I actually implore you not to spend your money on buying premium vehicles, especially at this price point. But it's almost like you don't get a huge amount of value, at least in my opinion, because that's all I can give you. I'm not going to speak on behalf of you because I'm sure many of you may have a different opinion, which is why I wanted to make this video, and to get your thoughts, because, you know, I'm only one person. I play the game the same as you do, but this kind of sparked because of the fact that they've released this new Monster Hunter bundle that's been released, and this one is 59,000 gold. Now, for those of you that may not understand Wargaming's price pointing, 24,000 gold is about £70. So if you want to purchase this bundle, roughly, now these aren't specific figures, I may be slightly wrong, but this bundle would cost about £140. £140, right? For what is in effect 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 vehicles. Now you might be thinking, well, that's 16 vehicles. It's, you know, if you play the game a long time, that's not too bad. You know, about 10 a vehicle, blah, blah, blah. The problem with it is that I don't disagree with, you know, spending £10 on a vehicle if you really enjoy it, you enjoy the game, and being able to try out different things that you can't get because it's paywalled behind a paywall. The game has to be funded somehow, but the only problem is what's happening now is the price points are just going up, and the actual kind of content that we're getting for free, the actual stuff that we are having in the game, the development of the game itself, doesn't seem to be, you know, improving. It's like, I agree, yeah, you could charge more, but we want to see more in the game and more value to the player base. Now, that might be coming in the future, I don't know. But at the same time, at the moment, I just don't understand why they would shift from having decent discounts. Obviously, it's financially better for them. But in terms of a long-term kind of thing, I felt like I was more inclined to purchase a vehicle that might cost £20, and I was far more inclined to spend £40 on picking up 3 vehicles, and a price of £40 for one vehicle, I would just not spend the money. Like, anything over about £20 for one vehicle on a tank game on this, I'm not spending more than £20 on one vehicle on this game. There's just no reason for me to do that. Like, I earn money from YouTube as well. It's not like this is a case of like, financially I can't buy it. I just choose not to because I understand that spending 20, 40, 50 pounds on one tank is just ridiculous for the amount of time I'm going to spend playing it. And maybe you spend time playing that vehicle, maybe it's the only premium tank that you have, and maybe that is how you get your enjoyment. You know, you can spend your money how I want, or how you want, and I'll spend it how I want, which is definitely not purchasing anything on World of Tanks. But at the same time, in terms of the price points of some of these bundles, you know, this is 140 quid essentially. So flat out, I would just say to absolutely everyone who is potentially thinking about this, don't go and spend 140 quid on these. A lot of these are like rubbish tier, like premium tanks anyway, like not useful, not that interesting, reskinned versions of tanks that are already in the game and have been released for free during certain seasons. Things, for example, like we could take the Inferno Chimera, which is essentially just like imagine like a what's it called, like a Centurion that has slightly more alpha. You can find alternatives to these tanks in the game for free. Things like the Bellerophon, it's essentially just like a spaced armor version of a Centurion. It literally is that. You got the Wraith Panzer 58. We've had the Panzer 58 Mutz, which has been released for free. The Wraith is slightly buffed up, I guess, because it has spaced armor on it. You got the Bog Horror, which is just, as in the name suggests, a absolute horror to try and play on the game. And then you got the Hollenhund, which is just basically a M41 Walker Bulldog. You see, they're not that novel, they're not that unique. You've got a KV5 variant, which you can just purchase the normal variant for anyway if you wanted to. But my problem being is that, yeah, they're charging 140 quid for this. You've got then your smaller bundles, so they give you smaller bundles that you can purchase for a reduced cost. But once again, they're still like £70 for like 3 vehicles. And the whole incentive to go ahead and purchase some of these, like I would much rather them see, you know, them release all of the tanks for a 50% discount, for example. And that way everyone can just pick the one tank, or maybe they want to go out and pick a bundle that isn't available. Maybe I don't want the Arachnid out of the Arachnid Death Chariot and Asterion, and in fact I want the Death Chariot, the Asterion, and the, I don't know, whatever else it is. And so that will give me a 50% on all 3 of those tanks, and I'll go out and buy those. Having these limited bundles where you can only pick one bundle that may or may not have the tanks that you want, and it's only being increased in price because you're getting a tank you don't want, I just don't like this sort of kind of sales tactic that is basically bundled in there, where they're basically saying it's a sale, but you're not really getting the thing that you actually want on its own, and so the savings that you're getting isn't really savings because you're not going to use. So it's like buying, for example, a flat screen TV and it comes alongside a bucket full of water. It's like, okay, well, yes, that bucket full of water might cost £1,000 and my TV costs £1,000, but I don't want a bloody bucket of water for £1,000. So I would never pay that in the first place, and so I'm essentially still paying the same amount as I would full price for the same thing. And yeah, it's a bit over exaggerated, but you get my point. You should be able to pick the bundle that you want. Maybe even if they just made it a bundle thing where you get a 50% discount when you buy 3 tanks, you pick the tanks, they have a base cost anyway, and it just, you know, that is the kind of percentages that you can get. Maybe you get 40% off when you buy 1 tank individually, you get 50% off when you buy 2 tanks, and you get 60% off when you buy 3 tanks. They can be any of those, and you just pick the tanks that you actually want. I hate the whole thing about giving you a load of extra stuff that just doesn't really ever get used anyway by most people. So yeah, you can go ahead and buy these bundles and it's up to you, but that's kind of my viewpoint on some of these bundles. I think it's ludicrous that you would spend £140 on, you know, a load of tanks on this game when you could literally go out and buy an entire two brand new games, like fully developed games from start to finish that you can spend like tens, hundreds of hours on, or you could buy like maybe 10 hours worth of content of playing these tanks overall. I think you'd be better off, going to the pub with your family and stuff like that than if you've got them, or going ahead and going and doing something, saving up to go on holiday, than you would be buying these tanks. All dependent on financial situation, of course, but be sensible. And that is kind of my whole motto with bundles, pricing, and ever really saying that a tank is actually worth it. The only times I really do that is when they're in the season pass, and that is because, spending £8 to continuously have a season pass, I don't feel is the worst thing in the world when you consider the price of like 2 pints. But when you're considering like a tank that is you're probably not going to use that much and you're spending £40 on it, it's a completely different story. So yes, they've got the individual savings, and some of them are 30% off, which is just not the same as what they used to give. Like, we used to see 50%, and yes, we've seen 30% in the past as well, but 50% I feel like is a decent time. It's that time of year you want to go out, you want to try these tanks out, and you don't want to spend an arm and a leg doing so, and you might actually end up spending more by having them a cheaper discount, but that's just my opinion. But I thought I'd cover it. Those are the bundles for this week. You got a load of commanders that, if you enjoy commanders, you enjoy cosmetics, go ahead. You can purchase all sorts of ones from there, and they're all Halloween themed. So if Halloween is your big kind of celebrational thing that you do in the year, then maybe this is something you want to do as kind of a thing for Halloween. But in terms of other things, there is the Monster Hunter drop thing. So the operation for Monster Hunters, now usually what happens is you can get a tank for free as part of the Monster Hunter operation. And this year it's basically a point earn operation as with most of the other years. You've got yourself your Monster Point Destroy operation. So you get 1 point for essentially destroying one or more vehicle. And you can only get one of those in a battle. So you can only get 1 point in one singular battle. So that's quite big. It means you can't get repeatable amounts. If you take out 6 tanks, you don't get 6 points. You just get 1. And then, of course, you got the XP earn operation. So earn 1,000 or more XP in any number of battles. And you can actually earn more than 1 point per battle. So essentially, if you take out a tank and you get 2k XP, you're getting 3 points because you've got 2 lots of 1,000 XP and you're getting 1 for destroying a tank. So 3 total. That's going to boost your way towards some of the operation points that you need to actually get extra things. Now, what you can do is you can play in a Monster Hunter tank if you've already got one. If you've played for years, you probably have completed an operation before, like years ago, and you probably have some of these tanks. I don't know if some of them have been released for free as part of kind of like season passes. It's been so long since kind of looking into that, but yeah, I'm sure many of you already have a Monster Hunter tank. If you don't, then it's not an issue. You can still get a decent amount of points, and you probably actually might end up getting more points just by playing a normal game mode. But the Monster Hunter is playing in a battle with a monster tank and deal 1,000 damage. You'll get 1 Monster Hunter point. So it's not the Awakened version, so not in the game mode. It's just in the normal game. But depending on how good those tanks are, maybe you've got a really bad Monster Hunter tank, so maybe you don't want to use it. So you might end up just using a better tank and being able to be more consistent with your points. But as you know, getting those points, what do you actually have to do? Well, as with most of these operations, they're kind of tiered. So you go all the way up to like tier 13, and dependent on which like one you reach, it unlocks certain different unlocks that you can then get a tank from. Now, I want to be super clear before we get into the tanks themselves. If you are doing this you cannot receive multiple of these tanks in the once you pick your tank that you get from the Monster Hunter operation, you cannot then go ahead and get another one. So as long as you make sure that you pick the tank that you actually want and you're not accidentally picking one, or you're picking one thinking that, oh, it's only 100 points, I'll get another 100 points and the extra bit to get the, top tier tank that I actually want. Make sure that you only ever activate the tank that you want, because you only get one chance at a free Monster Hunter tank. So, starting off, you get a pumpkin patch that you can put in your garage. You know, garage gear, it's cool. It's interesting. I actually like the cosmetics that they add into the game. I think that's a much better way of monetizing. It doesn't feel like they're locking any actual content behind a paywall because it's just a cosmetic. It's not impacting the gameplay. You're not playing up against it. There can't be any kind of pay to win because I've got a pumpkin in my garage. Do you know what I mean? It's you can't go wrong with a pumpkin cosmetic. But either way, Monster Hunter 2, you get some silver, and that's earning 25 points. The first one was 10 points, and they kind of go up in extra incremental amounts. So you can see here, this one, the third one, is 50 points. You get 4 times 1.5 silver boosters. And then you got Monster Hunter 4. This is where you get the first set of tanks. So you can pick the Bellerophon, which is the like Centurion version of the tank with a bit of spaced armor on it, and then the Dragon Type 62. So that's 100 points. So it shouldn't take you too long over the course of the entire event. When, just to clarify, the event is until the 5th of November, so Bonfire Night. For those of you in the UK, I don't know if you celebrate that in America. Maybe I'm wrong. I would say no, but either way, fireworks night. And then we've got Monster Hunter 5, which comes in with the tank war chest. So you'll just get that once you've actually done it. And then you've got yourself Monster Hunter 6, which gives you 5 times 4 Commander XP bonuses. Number 7 gives you some pumpkin emblems. Number 8 gives you the unlock for the Hollenhund or Death Chariot, which is 250 points. 9 gives you a Van Helsing emblem. Number 10 gives you 2 tank chests. And then number 11 gives you the option of the Wraith Panzer 58 or the Inferno Chimera. And then number 12 gives you the Grim Reaper emblem. And then number 13 gives you the Asterion Pharaoh Ramses II. So those are the 2 ones that you can pick at the final rewards. Now, I don't believe that these are absolutely every single one of all of the tanks in the game, which is unusual because they usually do that. So I don't know why they haven't given us the option to at least get all of the Monster Hunter tanks in the game like they previously did, except from the very new releases. It kind of sucks. And I would love to have seen them do that because, you had the Lycan, that sort of stuff, which was kind of cool to get, especially on your kind of first one going round, as it's a cool looking tank. But at the same time, yeah, you're getting a tank for free. But the top one, 550 points. The second to top tank picks are 375 points. So in terms of actual, are you going to be able to complete it? I actually think, yeah, the amount of points that you get, the XP requirement, and being able to complete it multiple times in a single match, it's probably not too difficult to actually do it. For the average player, if you're getting 1,000 XP every game and you're not taking anyone out, which let's conservatively say you never take anyone out during the whole games and you only get XP 1,000 per game, then it's going to take you 550 games total to get the top tier rewards. Now, I think most people probably going to get 1.5 points per game on average, probably more maybe, but it's going to take you anywhere from 300 to 550 games in order to complete all of that, which over the course of 3 weeks roughly, I don't think is the worst thing in the world. It is quite a short operation, but at the same time, you're getting some of the better tanks, I guess, tier 8s, and stuff that you wouldn't normally see actually put on sale anyway. So, I don't think we can complain about free tanks, but at the same time, it would have been nice to have all of the Monster Hunter tanks available. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I think that would have been a much better way of doing it. Add in a couple more options on each one of the tiers to just give us the option of any of them, bar the brand new ones I see, because they want to make money, obviously. Then we got Monsters Unleashed. You get some essentially a change reward thing for actually playing the Unleashed mode, which is just the new Halloween mode. It's basically out every year during the October period, and that will give you some emblems specific to the event, as well as actual XP and silver and stuff like that. I'd highly recommend going and actually trying out the event. It's always fun and interesting, but that is pretty much it for today's video. The whole point is to kind of go over the price points get your opinion, as well as cover what is actually coming tomorrow when it does drop. And it should drop at like 10 in the morning UTC, which I think is 11 a.m. GMT, maybe 9 a.m. GMT, but usually there's like a downtime for an hour or 2 hours roughly, where the server doesn't actually go online or anything like that. So yeah, either way, if you enjoyed today's video, if you've got comments, if you want to ask me anything, make sure to leave them in the comment section and I'll try my best to get back to you. But other than that, have a great rest of the day and enjoy doing whatever you're doing, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.